Just to remind you, my name is Stephanie Purdue. I'm one of the associate conference ministers in the Illinois Conference of the United Church of Christ. And this fall, our content focuses on justice and witness ministries and issues of restorative justice. And Reverend Murph has been the primary person putting together the program and the agenda of content for us this fall. And so today we're going to hear an update from Justice and Witness Ministries in the Illinois Conference from Carole Hoke. So I will turn the floor over and we'll have an update, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. I can help to moderate that if needed. And we're just very, very blessed to enter into this time of update and conversation. I'm going to mute myself for now.
I'm Carole Hoke. For any of you who don't know me, I was around Justice and Witness 2014, 2016, maybe. And I guess I am back. I kind of became a touch embroiled with the idea that I really believe this is a critical and necessary part of not just the United Church of Christ, but of all of us in ministry, that justice is part of our call, and to witness to others just exactly what it means to be followers of Jesus, and bringing some sense of love and hope, and of course, ultimately the beloved community into being. The craziness in the world, I don't even want to use that term, strike that I ever said that, edited out of this recording, the chaos that is in the world today. I really do believe that we can be a glimmer of hope, a beacon, if you will, in what seems to be an impenetrable wall of just nonsense and actually hatred and meanness toward one another. There's far too much of it out there. This certainly isn't across the board. There are many pockets of love and hope and justice seeking and peacemaking, but we need much more of it. So I don't know what Terrell's expectation has really been, but I think that we really ought to focus today on the reparations proposal that was started, if I'm not mistaken, 2003 even sounds like too soon. When exactly was it started? Terrell, can you help me with that one?
I am not sure, but that sounds like that's correct.
Well, I know that 2003 was another benchmark, okay?
Right.
In the stream forward. And, you know, I would have said that I was more familiar with the benchmarks, or not the benchmark, but the idea of reparations when it came to my Native American friends. But, you know, we have talked reparations. The word has been thrown out and about in circles where racial justice has been spoken of, but this is a real and true thing. And it does not always involve money. It is far more than that. And it is a huge educational effort. The process for repairing the breach, the study guide that the Justice and Witness Ministries has put out is wonderful. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. I'm going to hold up a sheet here. Don't know. I'm going to hold up the front page. Can y'all see that? Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you don't know or you haven't found it, go look for it and I would go through it. I think there are 7, I believe, sections to go through. It is online. No, 8 units anyway, maybe, yes, 8 units. It's a call for study on a proposal that I know the Indiana, Kentucky conference is wanting to bring to General Synod a proposal to vote on, and it's voting on studying. This has been studied off and on. There've been several proposals in the meantime about study, and I know that I talked with Adam. What is Adam's name? Adam's last name, with the Indiana, Kentucky conference. He's the one that was taking the proposal that their justice and witness group came up with and putting the theological elements to it and putting it into, what do I want to say, into being with a form that would go ahead. Adam Hayden is his name, into something that would be submitted. I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, we have been asked if we would like to join with them on that. I don't know that we can join with them until we fully know what it is that we're joining. And so I think that's another important thing. And I think we should be able to look at this, or everybody should be able to take a look at this. I hope you will want to take a look at this. That's probably where we really start. I think it's a very worthwhile endeavor for us. I know here in Peoria, we took part in a study. The Interfaith Alliance took it upon themselves to bring a couple of folks down from, I guess they were both at the University of Chicago, but we brought them into Peoria. We set up a time. They were good. I think that most people felt that it was up to, not up to white people to do this, but it was up to Black people to tell us how it should be done. I tend to feel that is not the way it should happen. That's Carole's opinion. Carole believes that this is up to me to decide how I'm going to do this and do it. I need to get other people to do it with me, though. That's the big thing, and gaining their trust. Jason Carson Wilson, I don't know how many of you may know Jason. We go back a lot of years, and when he was here in Pekin as a reporter for the Pekin Times, if y'all can imagine that one. Oh yeah, and bless his heart. And we've had a lot of good conversations about what it means and who and how we can make a difference in the world. I believe also that it's a one-on-one kind of experience, that if we can start one-on-one and expand, that's fine. There are some places, you know, Peoria was ranked the worst place in the country for our African-American friends. And, you know, yeah, I see it. So anyway, make an involved story short. I guess I'd like to hear from you how you see this and rate it, if you will, not on a 1 to 10 necessarily, but just as a, yes, this is an important thing to do, or no, I think we have other things we need to do. Because your buy-in to what I want to do is not necessarily the way it needs to go. It needs to be the justice and witness committees and others as well, effort that would bring this to fruition. So can I hear from a few of you? May I hear from a few of you?
Carol, I'd love to ask a clarifying question. And
Sure.
my question is the question kind of before the Illinois conference, the question of whether we would sign on to a resolution that Indiana, Kentucky intends to bring before the General Synod next year? I think that I'm procedurally kind of asking a question.
Sure. I think that
Thank you.
that question has been asked. Okay.
Okay.
So is
Mhm.
that before us? Yes, but I don't think we can really respond to that unless we take a good look at it. I would
Right,
like to think that in the little time that we do have to look at it, that perhaps we can take at least a cursory look and say, oh, this is way too far for us
Okay.
to say that we can do it, if that makes sense.
It does. Peg has her hand up
Oh,
and someone has shared the actual
me.
resolution. Thank
did.
you, Reverend Dr. Murph. So Peg, maybe you want to ask your question and then we can, yeah.
I did some training in Seattle for working against racism and for how we're supposed to proceed with the Black community. And I might be off on this, but it was really ingrained in us that we don't go and bring our own agendas to them, but allow the community to enable us to proceed in a way that they want. And I just wanted to throw that out there because that was a huge thing in our training.
Right. I agree. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we wound up with here too. Thank you.
I might have misunderstood what you said then, that I've been in a conference thing for 3 days, so I'm a little zoomed out. So I might have misunderstood what you said, Carol. So if I did, please just disregard what I just said. Thank you.
Oh, no, we don't disregard anything, Peg.
Okay.
I'm wondering, Reverend Murph, if you could,
Sure.
if
I was
people have
just-
had a chance to look at this first page, if you could scroll a little.
I'm not sure. Has everyone had a chance to kind of
Yeah,
take just a general look at it, a general peek?
yeah.
Mhm.
And Anne Louise, do you want to speak your question that you put in the chat out loud for the benefit of everybody who might not be following the chat?
Sure. I mean, when
Thank you.
when Peg was asking her question, I just put a question in the chat and said, "Well, who has worked on developing this resolution for that the Indiana Kentucky Conference is bringing
Yeah.
forward?" I mean, has there been racial equity on their task force or their group of people who've developed this resolution? That would be helpful to know.
I don't know the answer. Carol, do you know the answer to that?
What I know is they took people from each of their associations, 2 people from each of their associations, and formed a group. What the racial equity is, I don't know. I do know that the people that presented were white. Adam is a preacher's kid, he and his dad. He said 2 cisgender white males. Doing the presenting was probably not the best way to go at it. So my guess is it was not presented, if you will, maybe in the best light, but I'm not sure how any of us, I think we all view what the presentation should be. I have yet to send this out to the committee. So I need to really do a lot of legwork myself,
Mhm.
okay? In getting anything to people to really look at and present. I think though, the idea of reparations is something that people are not necessarily even comfortable with. I could be wrong because I'm talking to the Justice and Witness Committee. You know, that's a different audience than a church or a general group would be, I think, in the church. And I could be very wrong. I know that the resolution that they want Biden to sign is, as a, oh, what do you call it when he just does his presidential thing? On reparations.
Executive order?
Executive order.
Sign as, thank you, Catherine, as an executive order, is to study this and to create the pathways for this, for reparations, I mean.
And is
And so
that
it-
what this resolution is calling upon the church to support?
It's calling on the church to, if you look down.
Yeah, I
here
can't
on
scroll.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
I think-
page 2.
Yeah. Thank
Whereas
you.
the stated purpose of House Resolution 40 is to address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and to establish a commission, there we go, to study and consider
Right.
a national apology and proposal for reparations for the institution of slavery. Its subsequent de jure and de facto racial and economic discrimination against African Americans, and the lingering negative effects of slavery on living African Americans and society, to make recommendations to the Congress of the United States on appropriate remedies and for other purposes.
Okay.
So that sort of sums up the.
Yeah. Thank you. And then at the bottom, it says, therefore be it resolved that the Indiana Kentucky Conference is calling on, support for that legislation.
Yeah.
For the national setting to publicly proclaim its support in our church. And that we and our associations, comms, member churches, etc., partner with the national setting. And that funding for the witness and study of reparatory justice and reparations to be recommended by the task force, this would be in the Indiana Kentucky Conference, be determined by their board. So as I'm hearing it, there's both a question of support for national legislation and publicly, particularly through our national setting, advocating in ways that our national officers often have a great deal of public visibility and their ability to do that. And then this is calling on the Indiana Kentucky Conference to consider what that would mean in the context of their conference. So I think one of the questions for us as the Illinois Conference would be, what might we feel we had to be resolved to do if we did lend our name to this General Synod resolution. And, personally, I often feel that there are fabulous General Synod resolutions every time we have a synod. But then the embodiment sometimes of those that are deeply aspirational, but sometimes aren't embodied. And so that's, I think, one of the questions I would raise, which is, I think, what I hear you raising, Carole, like, is this lip service or is there their actual commitment to this?
Exactly. And I know that I believe there was something, was it last week? And Terrell, maybe you can help me with this too, or any of you can help me with this. There was some, it was a $4 million. It was an $8 million plan, 4 million to be held in escrow, 4 million to be used. Am I making any sense, or is this something I dreamed?
I don't think it's anything you dreamed, but I didn't hear the specifics though.
Okay. I just, anyway, to work, I think it was to work toward racial justice somehow. within
In the
church.
UCC? In
Yeah,
the national
I thought,
setting?
that's what I thought. So I will get back with all of you, I promise, who are on the call, if I can get that list. And, but it seems to me like that was a pretty good sum of money to begin for, if it's for study or whatever. I just caught a glimpse of it.
Okay.
I believe
A-
they just launched that.
A
It's like a new,
caption, yes, last
The
week
jo-
or something.
yeah, join the movement campaign.
There you
Oh.
go. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Catherine Irwin has her hand up, and then Peg has her hand up again.
Oh, I didn't lower my hand because the
Oh,
screen.
okay. Thank you, Peg.
And I was having problems finding the hand versus the clap thing and whatever, so I apologize for part of that too. My apologies for being late, Carol. It sounds like this has been a great presentation. I'm looking forward to backtracking on it. Quick couple of questions, and again, I apologize. This may have been covered. Do we have access? Is there some place that I can go to look at this document? It's about this big on my screen at the moment
Sure.
with the screen sharing and everything. So again, that's all, hey, I get it. But so I could actually read through it because it looks like there's some really good information on there.
Yeah, and
and that-
I'll send it to everybody if I can get
Yeah,
everybody who's on it. I probably have most of your emails, and Catherine, if yours hasn't changed in
It
these
has
many
not
years,
changed. Yep, Carol, you've got it. You've got
I
it from
probably
before.
have yours. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem. Okay, that was part of my question, because obviously I'm behind and I don't want you to have spend time catching up for me, but clearly this is some pretty important stuff. I like Peg's point to that, but we don't know, so we'll have to find out. But it looks like there's some other momentum behind this from different sources coming in. So it sounds like Stephanie and Terrell, you guys have got a pretty good finger, that you and Carol, between the three of you, have a pretty good finger on the pulse of this, because this is important. So, all right, thank you very much.
You betcha.
is this a little better for those?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, sorry about that. I just,
I figured it either people had said something and you couldn't change it or whatever. So
No.
thanks, Terrell.
you're welcome. I think Harriet has her hand raised.
Right, I do. And two things. One, I put a link onto it, and when I link to it, it shows the document, but it could be because it's on my computer. So I don't know if that link will take you to the document. But as I understand it, the key element is support for House Bill 40. Which
Yes.
the numeral for the House bill comes from the 40 acres and a mule executive order from Sheridan, General Sheridan. And we could individually contact our congressman and ask them to support House Bill 40. It seems to me that years ago, this House bill was brought by a Michigan congressman who spoke at the Grand
Yeah,
Rapids.
John Conyers.
Yes. It's been around a long time. And so whether we link with, supporting the Indiana, Kentucky resolution, and I still haven't found the actual document that Carol, you raised the cover to, and I've seen other studies. To show about reparations. And we had a very brief meeting among members of Fox Valley and CMA, Justice and Witness, and about reparations. And we looked around the Zoom box, and all the faces were white. And we did proceed and get, we had an Asian American, and we had some other people who would join in it, but it didn't get any traction. So your question about who's authoring this, I think is really important.
Yeah. Harriet, if you're referring to the PDF of that Repair the Breach study guide, it's it's not actually in the link to the national setting website that I thought it was. I managed somehow, while all of you were talking, to find a PDF of it and download it, I think off of the Southwest Conference website. So maybe when conversation resumes, I'll try to retrace my steps and figure out how I got it.
Well,
it exists. PDF form. It's clearly a scan of a hard copy document from 2003. I think the other thing I maybe want to raise in this conversation, and I'm speaking now as a tribal citizen, as a Native person, I don't think it's inappropriate for the question of how a dominant group would make reparation, for that conversation to originate in the dominant or essentially settler group, because it's an act of repentance.
Right.
And that's from my perspective in the Native world, we don't think that's inappropriate. But the concern, and I completely agree with it as I hear Peg and Anne Louise and others raise it, is when that settler group or that historically dominant group comes to, in this case, an African American community and says, these are the reparations we propose. And the community says, well, these are not, in fact, the reparations that would really help us, or, they're not, or they're kind of meek in our estimation and don't really address the meat of the suffering that has been undergone. So, I think it's kind of like the people needing to make the apology and the reparation. It's okay that work originates with them, because that's a taking of historical responsibility in my mind. But I don't know how this all emerged in the Indiana-Kentucky conference. But I think whatever reparations are proposed have to have the feedback of the community that is supposed to be the beneficiary of that repair. I am a citizen of Evanston, and we've had a lot of conversations about that in our community with some well-meaning city council resolutions of reparation that are not wholeheartedly, embraced by the very communities they're supposed to be helping. So I think the inaction of that is a complicated question.
Great point.
Anne Louise is that Community Renewal has been doing work around reparations, and wondering if anyone here is involved with that.
I'm on the board of
I am not
Community Renewal, but I haven't been involved in any of their direct work regarding it. Sorry about that, Stephanie.
No, that's, yeah.
And
Our conference
about-
minister is on the CRS board, but I don't know about that either.
I'm here, friends, but I have to let the dog out. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm with you.
And so I think that we definitely need more discussion around this, which is a good thing that has come from Justice and Witness. And maybe at some point we need to get all the Justice and Witness throughout the conference together to start the discussions, and then allow the discussions to permeate into the various associations. That is one way of getting it out there. But right now, I think we're looking to see if this is something we could potentially support, particularly the fact of the resolve that asks for the task force and urges the UCC at the national setting to publicly proclaim its support of HR 40. And so, like Harriet just mentioned, HR 40 is at the pinnacle of the discussion, and we're wondering how people feel about asking and supporting the notion of a task force being formed to kind of pull this apart and see what can come of and how reparations can be formed as they support HR 40, House Resolution 40. It's just some thoughts there. I'm trying to put up the actual HR 40.
Well, I think
Support it. I want to support it.
I'm looking at the bill summary now.
Yeah, I see the bills.
Looks like it hasn't been posted by CBO, there's 196 co-sponsors of HR 40. And it's went through a couple subcommittee markups, so that's good. I haven't got the full text of the bill in front of me. I just got a bill summary in front of me right now. But it looks like something that we need to take a look at from the Illinois conference standpoint. And if the Indiana conference is really signing on to back this HR 40 up, I think this is really, as I just read some of the markups and all of that, this looks like a good bill. This looks like something that could.
Thanks, Ken. Is it okay to take the share down? Anyone else
Yeah.
still trying to read it?
And let me find this PDF I just downloaded, because at least I could share it and quickly scroll you through it so you know what it looks like. I can't now figure out where I got it, how I got it, but I think one of the ways we could disseminate it is through Sarah when she mails out next week's, or, you know, a refresher about upcoming all conference chats. We could have her attach it as an update to the work we did today. So keep talking and I'm going to go look for it so I can share it with you. Probably went into my downloads folder.
And I will try to get out. As I look, and I just close it down. Ugh. Let me see if I can put this in the chat.
With help from Ken, I just put the link to the text, not the test, of the House Bill 40 in there. So
Okay.
it's been introduced. It was introduced this January, but it hasn't gotten out of committee. And I didn't go into it in terms of where it is and who's on the committee. But looking at that website reminds me that in the state of Illinois, you can go to someplace like that where you can get a witness slip and you simply register as a witness in support or against the bill. And I must claim ignorance about knowing whether that's true in Congress or not. I would welcome anybody's knowledge about that. But we do have a voice and a witness with the click of a mouse or several clicks of a mouse, and people in the community to communicate. You know, that's part of being in community. And I'm not always best at that.
We all wrestle.
Yeah.
And we all have our challenges with
Yeah.
effective, particularly
It-
effective.
In 2003, the Chicago Metropolitan Association, which I think was then called Church and Society, this preceded the name Justice and Witness, studied reparations. Roger might be able to give us more information about that. And it was circulated within CMA at that time. And there was definitely, some of our Black colleagues on that team at that time. Kevin Tyson was one.
Mhm.
Can you see, I am screen sharing. Is that true or is that just?
Yes.
You are
myth?
screen sharing.
That's something that I believe. Okay, so I am screen sharing this PDF study guide called A Process for Repairing the Breach.
In the Dropbox.
And yeah, it's in my Dropbox, but how I get it to all of you, I'm not quite clear, but we'll work on that. But at any rate, you can see that it was written by a national committee of the UCC when Bernice Powell Jackson was one of our general ministers, in response to the proposal of HR 40 to help local churches and UCC settings think about and talk about. So even though it might be a little dated, it still looks like a very good resource, and we'll make sure that you get your hands on it in multiple ways so that you can download it. So here's the table of contents. And then the appendices are references to other UCC documents or General Synod resolutions.
Stephanie, if you look at the table of contents and we think of our worship services, we have confession as an important part. Maybe not every service, but when we have communion, it's usually preceded by a prayer of confession. And then we talk about forgiveness. And,
Yeah.
God, we have the assurance of God. And we're talking about human to human here, which isn't as easily as complex.
Exactly. I was actually just at lunch having a conversation with a Garrett faculty colleague about land acknowledgement, which is often a practice to acknowledge
And we also
Native American issues. And we were talking about, in Christian terms, we could speak of reparation as an action that comes out of a liturgical movement of confession and committing to acts of repentance. And so then reparation is really a question of how are those acts of repentance embodied in a manner of restorative justice. I mean, because scripture, as you're pointing out, calls upon us not to be just people that confess with our lips, but to confess and restore with our deeds. So I think I'm hearing what you're saying.
And this is really a perfect follow-up to what Reverend Carole did last week. When we talk about repairing the breach, restorer of the streets, restorer of the breach.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harry. Yes.
So this looks like a very fruitful study guide. I confess I have not ever seen it or worked with it, but we will make sure that we get this PDF in your hands and really in the hands of everyone.
Someone try this and see if you actually get the document. This looks like a weird looking link, but
Are you putting it in chat?
yeah, it should be in chat.
And a totally discontinuous sidebar. This is when I miss Dave Stewart so much. Oh my gosh, that man could have gone, oh no, it was 1994. It was probably Proposition 7. I mean, the man just was a literally walking, working, dictionary of synod. So
I'm not seeing your link.
Not me either.
nope, not in the chat.
Okay.
Double check to make sure you've got it addressed to everyone. Did you maybe send it to?
No, I'll say
Okay.
everyone is.
I know that's one of my things I end up doing is accidentally sending it, just to one person.
Okay, I will work on this. Go ahead, continue the conversation. Sorry about that. Maybe it's too.
Maybe this is an appropriate time to ask Carole, did she step away?
No, I'm here. I just
To
had
ask if you're
No, I've
getting
been
the
listening.
kind of feedback that is helpful to you in your role.
Well,
Or
I
that
think-
you kind of were seeking from this conversation with us.
I think I really have I received it. I mean, I need to get, the materials need to get out. I've tried to get hold of, different people in different, well, I tried to, I didn't do a very good job of connecting with people though, to see if other conferences were in the throes of this. And I'm sure some are and some aren't. I certainly don't know everybody everywhere. Okay, I am back. The idea was for this reparations piece to at least have this as a a study that we could kind of glom onto and take a look at. I think the study, the repairing the breach, the piece we just looked at, is a really good piece. I think it offers a lot. Might even go out into other things that we want to tackle. But I think this is a good starting point. So yeah, I've received what I think I can. I think meeting like this, at least getting some meetings going and getting into our a routine of meeting and having some hands-on sessions of study and prayer and that sort of thing makes all the difference in the world.
Amen. Did anyone see it go into the chat?
It did,
Yes.
and I went out to try to resource it and realized that I don't have my Outlook activated, so I have to try to. It was taking me to Outlook, and I don't do that normally because then my emails tend to shrivel in there. But
Yeah, I couldn't link either because of
Yeah.
that same reason.
yeah,
me try to
but
save it.
but the link is there. It did take me to Outlook to try to pull up the document. So I think we're headed in the right direction, Carol. It's just
Yeah.
now software on my side versus.
Well, let me see if I can save it as a PDF, and then maybe it'll be able to.
Okay.
So keep on. I'm sorry about this. Keep on chatting.
And Peg's trying to figure out her Outlook, I think. I haven't used it in a while, so.
We just disconnected it because I was using it when I was working for the UUs as
Ah.
the remote
Okay.
admin. And I didn't think I needed it anymore. So
Well,
that-
we can probably get it to you in a different way.
Some other form.
okay.
Yeah, I'll send it to Sarah,
Okay.
and then if
Yeah.
Sarah can get it out to everybody, or if I have some of your email addresses. I do not have all of them. So either way, one way or another.
Yeah.
We'll get them, definitely.
Stephanie,
yeah.
when we go back to see the recording, can we see the, at least the public side of the chat? I forget.
I don't know.
I don't remember either.
I don't.
After they changed it like a year ago, I don't remember. I was gonna say, because we could put our emails in the chat if we wanted for
Well,
sure.
I
for
think
Carol.
there likely are people beyond just this audience,
Oh,
that
yeah.
would want this PDF. So I think that
Yes.
an efficient way will be when Sarah sends an update about next week's content or forward-looking content, she can attach. We'll figure out a way to share it with a wider
Always a good thing.
audience. Harriet.
Yes, I just got a text from Lindsay Hammond, who serves on Justice and Witness. She had a document at one of our earlier meeting that the UCC sold at its bookstore. So I haven't gone to the bookstore yet to see if it's still available, but it's precedes 2010, I think. And
Thank you,
I guess
Anne Louise. We will remember, Reverend Murph and Carol will remember that you are willing to be part of a working group to build support for reparations. And we know you need to sign up. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anne Louise.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Any other feedback for Carol?
I appreciate it because let's start here, it's a huge task. And it's a huge entity to even undertake, thinking about what are reparations, and how does one even begin to address the idea of reparations. And Stephanie, your what you said about the Native Americans is very true. I mean, how that approach and forgiveness and what all you said. I mean, I heard it, but I've got a dog that is in and out, in and out. She's 14 years old, and I try to ignore her the best I can, but I can't always. So she's been a bit of a distraction, and normally I can let her out and just let her be. The weather is happening and she's not happy. So I apologize to all of you for my distraction. But so
Well, I think-
anyway, but what you
Yeah.
said is right on. And
I think, yeah, I think for, you know, predominant or subtler culture, or really for any of us as Christians, when we go to undertake reparative action, I mean, we could broaden it and say, for any of us, kind of maybe a good way to think about it spiritually is, if it's an apology that didn't cost much from us, it probably isn't yet justice.
yeah,
Mhm.
Reparation demands something. That could be financial, it could be, you know, and so I think, you know, justice has a reparative component that in a capitalistic society often has a cost attached. But it might also be an emotional cost. It might be the cost of daring to do the work. It might be the cost of becoming vulnerable. I mean, it probably has multiple layers of costs. So
We don't like to think about the fact that even the words to repent mean to turn around, which means one has to change something that is happening. And you have to do it in your stuff, not expect someone else to be changing it in theirs. And we don't like that most of the time. So.
Harriet, did you finish your thought, Harriet?
Yeah.
Okay.
you're muted, Harriet.
I was curious if the link I put to the Indiana, Kentucky resolution was accessible for people. It's sort of a IT, you know.
Hang on.
I got your link to
335.
Congress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
went out
got
to,
that one.
Yeah.
No, not the one to the Congress.
Oh.
The one earlier that begins docs.google.com. That's the Indiana document, but Reverend Stephanie's gonna make sure Sarah sends that out, so.
Yeah,
That was just a curious.
mine is saying I need access.
Yeah.
So
Mine too.
Oh, that makes sense. We just learned how
if
to.
you give me access, Harriet, I'll get it. And then we can
Right.
give Sarah a couple different things to send.
Yeah, I can send this to Sarah.
Beautiful. Okay, fabulous.
Because I'm not sure how to do it.
Yeah. The limits of all of our technological prowess. Seminary
Together
and
we managed.
liberal arts did not teach us all of these things. So at any rate. Well, we're coming up on time, but Reverend Murph, do you want to preview what we're doing next week? I'll be at the National Clergy Women's Gathering, so I won't be here and I can't remember what our topic is.
The next week we'll be hosting a minister by the name of Sierra Bates Chamberlain, who is from an organization called Live Free Illinois. And she'll be talking about violence reduction initiatives throughout not only Chicago, but throughout the state. So Live Free Illinois.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for moderating.
Well,
Yeah, really.
I found this PDF that I can't manage to share with anyone, so I don't know how effective I was, but we all pooled our knowledge here.
Thanks for covering for me, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Carole, for your witness and your leadership and for sharing all of this with us. So I think we've generated some good sharing about this resolution and how we need to be in conversation if we want to be a co-sponsor going into General Synod 2023. And some various people have volunteered to work with Reverend Murph and with you, Carole, as we think about how to broaden that conversation here in the conference. So
Thanks.
thank you all. Any last concerns?
Everybody be safe.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone be safe. Harriet, please.
A reminder, it was in both the Faithful Fridays newsletter and it's on the conference website about this upcoming Monday, 7 o'clock, solar forum, put on by Justice and Witness. And we might even have some people from Illinois South there. That would be fun
Wonderful.
if we stretched across the state.
Mm.
And a reminder to register for annual celebration if you or your church has not yet done that. The registration link is also on the front page of the conference website. Catherine.
And the CMA fall meeting.
And the CMA fall meeting. There is so much going on.
And
in every
Harriet,
association.
I was going to ask, I know I cannot make the Monday piece on solar, but that is interesting to me. Harriet, do you know if they're going to record it? Murph is, Terrell is
No,
like,
go ahead. Go ahead, Harriet. I'm just going to piggyback on what Harriet.
I don't know if it's going to be recorded.
And-
That's an IT issue that's above my pay grade.
We will try to record it, but we also have it as part of a workshop during the annual celebration.
Oh,
And
perfect.
so for those who really aren't able to make and we invite you all to be part of, because we'll have more people here speaking to us on this coming Monday than we will have for the conversation and workshop that we're offering through the annual celebration. So you'll be able to get more detail on next Monday versus what we'll be able to offer. And so please, 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 if you have any inkling, any drop of an interest in solar, please, for your homes and or for your houses of worship, you are truly invited to be there just to even listen. If you have one little question, please show up.
but all I can do is log in and leave it open.
it.
I've got to be at a rehearsal, but
That's okay. That's okay.
Wonderful.
That's okay.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes. Blessings.
All right. Well, go in peace to love and serve, and we will see one another again next week. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Carole.
Amen.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.